to the Shitlord-preachers podcast. This is episode 29, now presented by Think Liberty, the Think Liberty Podcast Network. This is our third episode with them. We'd like to shout out to them, thank them for bringing us on board into the podcast network. But Shitlord-preachers, real quick for everyone who's joining us for the first time, is a podcast between my friend Brook Potter and I, where we have our discussions regarding politics, culture, social issues, and it's pretty much based upon our discussions that we had both pretty much before we got into the whole political sphere. We used to be ministers, preachers, hence the name Shitlord-preachers, and now we saw a lot of the same things in politics as we saw in religion, and we started having conversations and felt, wouldn't it be a great idea to put all this on the internet, because everything goes so well when you put it on the internet. So I'm joined by Brook, of course, and our special guest today, which I'll be getting into in a sec. But Brook, introduce yourself real quick.
29 episodes, Amos. My goodness, where does the time go? That's fantastic.
Somewhere.
To all our listeners and viewers, thank you for tuning in. My name is Brook Potter, originally from the Twin Island nation of Trinidad and Tobago. I moved out to the UK about 2 years ago. Yeah, it's almost 2 years exactly. And for those who are watching, yes, I am in fact wearing my dark Mad Hatter's hat in celebration of the Halloween stream that we will not be having because Amos was too cheap to buy a costume. But that's all part of it. And as Amos quite rightly said, we've been having some great conversations offline about liberty and freedom and human rights, as our Think Liberty friends like to discuss, censorship, race relations, all sorts of topics. And we were doing that privately, and we just thought, hey, let's just put this stuff out on the internet. There's always need for more cancer and cancer fighting conversations. We got to combat this brain syphilis of leftist ideology and other things. So Amos had the bright idea, and we've been firing up 29 episodes. We got to do something for the 30th, Amos. We got to do something. If you do want to check us out on our YouTube channel, if you're watching, you already know it's here. For those who are joining us who Think Liberty, you can check us out. Check out Shitlord-preachers on YouTube, or you can also check us out on iTunes and pretty much all the major podcasting platforms that are out there. But today we are having our second women ever on Shitlord-preachers, so we're definitely upping the diversity bar here. Hashtag believe all women. Hashtag me too.
Hashtag me too. You never know, man. People take speech so literally nowadays. It could be a hashtag me too for some people. But we're joined today by Twtercide, who she's been known as Safe Space Assassin on her first account, which we'll be getting into. But Twtercide, you're on your fourth account right now? Fourth Twitter account?
I told you, I'm not entirely sure.
She's been on at least
4. I don't know. At least 4.
Yeah. You're on the fourth Twtercide account, though, right?
Okay, it was Twtercide. Twtercide is back. Twtercide lives. Twtercide reboot. I think there's another one. So yeah, probably. That's close.
Twtercide lives?
Oh my God. Yeah, that was one too. I don't think that one lasts long.
But basically, I remember you were on 13 or 14,000 followers on Twtercide.
Yes.
And then you said something about Beyonce.
I think that's the one that put the nail in the coffin, to be honest. Because I was reported multiple times, but that was the one that finally did it. And all it said was, "Attention, everyone! Beyonce's music is trash. That is all." And then all of a sudden, it was because I was racist and I couldn't say I didn't like her music because she's black and I'm white.
Oh no!
And then I dared to say that was stupid.
Wait a minute, Amos. We have a white woman on? What's going on here, man?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I should have said something.
So next week we will be having a black Arab woman. No.
Yeah, so Twtercide, just tell us a little bit about, yourself and your caricature and handle and stuff like that. And when did you decide to get all controversial and hate Beyonce?
Well, I am from Pennsylvania. I am 36 years old. I'm a mother, and I think what made me even get on Twitter to begin with, I've noticed that I wasn't allowed to even say in normal everyday conversations with people certain things without getting, looked at funny. So I just joined Twitter and started telling stupid jokes. And then I've noticed a trend where they all said the same exact shit. And if you go to quote unquote funny Twitter, they all just repeat the same thing. Anytime they get into any kind of politics, all the same thing. And I'm like, well, what happens if I say something completely different than what everyone else is saying? They don't like it. That's what happens.
So how was your political disposition different from what everybody else was saying? Like, where would you place yourself?
I would say I used to be a Republican, and then I didn't really like the way that the party was run entirely, and I felt like they were being hypocritical, but then I seen Democrats were being hypocritical, so I'm like, maybe I'll just stay in the middle. So I'm pretty libertarian mind-based, because I can call, if I see something that's wrong, I can call it wrong regardless of who's doing it. And I think that's what they get wrong over on funny Twitter. They just they watch an episode, or they watch the news, and then they just kind of vomit it out and put it in a tweet, the same exact thing. But if you approach them differently, they have no idea how to defend what they just said.
I mean, I think that's pretty much been our experience too, right, Amos?
Yeah, I think I found the problem, though, with your approach. See, the first thing you said was, I think, and you can't do that. Can't do that.
I'm sorry.
You can't do that on Twitter.
Think?
As soon as you start, you're not allowed to do that. You didn't know that?
No.
It's in the terms of service somewhere.
So many rules.
Yeah, it's vague. It's like any, they're pretty much saying anything that's offensive. We don't want that. Controversial, offensive, different than not left. Anything to the right of
Joseph Stalin,
yeah. Bernie Sanders, anything. You got to cut it out. You can't have that. I mean, that's kind of that's been the trend lately. But so then you had 13,000, not 30, for something around there.
I would have gotten up there if they would have left me alone.
Yeah. But those are Twitter accounts.
How did you manage it, though? Because, I mean, for those of us who are scrunting with less than 1,000 followers, what was it that got you up to 13,000 followers?
I think the quick wit, when someone would attack me, I would attack them right back. And not
you got a lot
just
of followers from that.
Probably because people like shit posting. I mean, it's just what gets a lot of people to follow you. And also, I guess, because it's my white privilege.
Right.
Many followers.
Has nothing to do with your female privilege?
Well, that too. It's like a double dose.
Double dose of privilege.
Double dose of privilege, yes.
See, I keep thinking of, and I got to see someone I know do this, but you guys have seen the Halloween, white privilege costume?
No.
So there was a guy, he basically, he was wearing a crown, and he had a white cape on, and he's completely white, his skin is completely white, so he put some sort of stuff on him, completely and totally white, and he's dancing around, and he wears this sweater, and on the sweater it just says privilege, and he's supposed to be white privilege. And there's a video, if you look up white privilege Halloween costume, it's this guy just dancing around, and he's white privilege.
That is awesome. I don't know, I like it.
So I'm thinking more people got to do that. Or Brooke and Brooke was suggesting I do something really controversial for next year. I should do a half Hitler, half Mao Zedong costume.
Yes.
The whole, straight down the middle somehow. I gotta split up the clothing, somehow sew it all together. I figured one I'd want to do a half like a half Westerner, like Old West kind of person, like a cowboy, basically. Half that and half like Chinese railroad worker, something like that. So definitely. Did you do anything for Halloween, Twtercide?
I am going as Harley Quinn. So,
nice.
Yeah. And I'm even going to make myself even whiter because, she's pale.
Right.
Put even more white makeup on myself.
Are you trying to crash the internet? Like, really?
I don't know.
See, are you going to post this on your Twitter, though?
I might.
Because that's how you're going to get your follower count back. Just saying.
But to be completely fair, I don't know if I want those ones. Because I'd end up either blocking them or telling them off and then them blocking me anyway, so.
That's crazy.
It's whatever you got to do for the followers,
Nah, I don't do that. If they come, they come. If they don't, I don't care.
So, did you encounter any of this kind of backlash outside of the Twitterverse, like in everyday conversations or anything like that?
Yes and no. Pretty much with, like, my oldest daughter is a teenager. Like, with her, like, with the moms and that kind of atmosphere, as far as like going to school and whatnot, I've noticed it seems to be a lot of the suburban moms,
right,
that tend to be a little more neurotic than, suburban men. I don't know what it is. I think it's, but then again, that goes back to me apparently hating all women. So that could be why I'm saying this.
Yeah, you definitely hate women. And you hate men, too, apparently.
I hate everybody, to be fair. I'm trying to be, as fair as I possibly can. I just hate everybody.
Equal opportunity hater, yeah.
Yeah. It's nothing personal. I hate everybody.
Right. So, what were some of the most memorable encounters, you had in Twitter with people that really gained you some... got people to notice you and stuff. Both the good and the bad.
I guess all the men that sent me pictures of their dick and then I posted it to make fun of them publicly. Probably that.
Oh.
Yeah. Probably that.
Well, there's always that.
Yeah. And then, all the perverts that message women on a daily basis. I'm like, hey, this happens to a lot of women. I'm just going to start posting all of their conversations. You
didn't post exactly what they posted. You had to blur it out, though, right? Because
nope.
I think
no, they didn't blur it out for me. Why would I blur it out?
Oh, jeez.
No, I just put it all right there. I had to see it. Everybody else had to see it too. It's only fair.
Now you were telling me before there were some encounters you had with actual pedophiles on Twitter. I know that's become a weird but rampant thing. What all did you where did you first come across people like that?
I think it was a while ago, so I'm not entirely, I don't remember exact details, but somebody messaged me with a tweet that had sexualized kids, kids in sexual, I don't even want to say it, but in sexualized pictures and with different captions on. And so many people were saying what they wanted to do to those kids. I'm like, whoa, that's not. Yeah. So
openly in Twitter, Twitter threads.
Yeah, openly on it. And so I started screenshotting what they had and, saving all the tweets they had before I actually said anything. So if they deleted them, I still had it. And then I would kind of retweet what they did and ask for people to report them to get them taken off. And then there was one specific time I must have hit a really big one and I always had my messages open, so that I could post all the stupid shit I got in my message box. But I started getting some of the pedophiles coming into my DMs threatening me. The one said, "You got my account suspended, you stupid bitch," or something like that. And another one was saying I was incestuous and my father raped me and that's why I hated myself or something absurd like that. So yeah, that's kind of a few of the incidents.
That's a bit fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, did a lot of the accounts get taken down though?
What do you mean?
Well, the pedophile accounts that you were reporting.
Some of them, yes.
Okay.
Other ones, no, because what they would do is they would just change their @ so that people could detect them then. Or they would lock up their accounts and then start blocking anybody.
Private, the ones that are private where you can only see it if you follow each other kind of thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Protected or something? Yeah.
Right.
That's crazy.
But I mean, yeah, I think even Twitter should be able to, if you look past that and be able to cut through that to see what's really going on, because violating terms of service is still violating terms of service.
Right. And another thing that's really fucked when it comes to that kind of thing, when you go to report an account, it doesn't have that option, like child exploitation. It doesn't have that option. You have to actually dig to find it.
Wow.
To report that account for that. And I think it should be one of the things that is right there in black and white, because that should be something that takes priority over some of the other stupid shit they have on there, like hate speech. There's no such thing as hate speech. Like, that's just stupid.
Depends where you live, apparently.
Well, no, it doesn't. There is no such thing as hate speech. It's just whether they're going to say that it is a thing and you get in trouble for it. But there's still no such thing.
I would agree with you.
No, yeah, I think what Brooke was trying to say was certain countries, especially where he is, are already it's already written in law that hate speech is defined as a certain, still very vague and subjective definitions, but you can kind of get it's really just any sort of right-wing controversial ideas.
Or joke.
Huh? Or a joke, yeah. Anything that is not left-leaning, which is pretty much everything.
You got to move away from there.
I keep telling Amos to hook me up with a nice American girl, but, he's just been slacking,
There are no nice American women. They're all gone.
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute.
Damn, just right out with, I'm sorry, that came out of my mouth. I had a lot of coffee, so I blame coffee. I'm over-caffeinated.
Yes, but isn't that all of us?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
See, I haven't had coffee in such a long time. I haven't really had caffeine.
Ew.
I know.
By choice?
Well, we've been on that diet and it pretty much cut out a lot of stuff.
That's true, it's true.
But, so what got the first account banned? Like Twtercide, what got that one?
Well, I sent a message to Jack about the pedophile type of stuff and asked why that was allowed. Like, I even messaged Jack. I sent him one video that had like a baby on the bed while people were having sex. And then they just kind of like scoot the baby to the side. And I wanted to know like why that was okay. And then shortly after that, I got suspended. And, because of the timing, I'm like, well, that's a little suspect. It seems like that's why I was taken down. But then somebody else made the comment, oh, you believe that's why she was shut down? And then she sent a screenshot where she had reported me. And what I got reported for was aggressive trolling. And I know exactly what she's talking about. My friend, and I know I talked to you about this, Amos, my friend tweeted out something meant to be a joke that says, do fat people know they can lose weight? It's true. It's hurtful, but it's true. And she just had a complete hissy fit over this and wanted her to delete it. And was pressuring her to delete it, and I just started making fun of them on the thread that their feelings were hurt and they want her to delete a joke. Are you kidding? You people are insane. And she kept going back and forth with me too. But I didn't report her because I didn't care. Well, I got reported for that. Apparently, they had a bunch of people report me because I thought the joke was funny.
So
how did you troll them though? Like. Yeah, I mean, you weren't rude or offensive or anything like that. What did you say?
All right, so the one guy made the comment, oh, my money's on her, the other woman. So I copied one of her tweets that said, like, and I'm not even kidding. I don't know the exact word, but this is basically what it said. Her pussy was so wet, she needed an umbrella, right? So I copied the link to that tweet and I put it in the conversation. I'm like, yeah, my money's on her too because she's apparently so witty, right? Like, look at this. Like, witty woman here.
Right.
And then I think what it came down to, I didn't troll them. I made them look stupid, and they didn't like that, and they got sad, and they hit the report button. I mean, that's just basically what it came down to. They looked like idiots.
So how did the next, I guess, so what was after Twtercide? Twtercide lives?
I don't remember. It might have been Twtercide. I think it was Twtercide is back.
Right, okay. What caused that one to get suspended?
I do not know. That one, I do not know. I think the next two, I had no idea why.
They didn't send you an email explaining anything?
No, I didn't get an email from them. Not with the next ones.
Just tried logging in and it said suspended.
You've been suspended.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, oh, that's nice. I appealed it. Well, I appealed it and asked, and I didn't get nothing back, of course. But the last one I knew why. I was told, like, hateful conduct. I was inciting racial tension, and that was over that Beyonce tweet. I don't even know what world this is.
No, it's unreal what's going on.
That's crazy, right? Like, am I insane? I don't see, like, what did I say that was racist?
Nothing.
That I didn't like her, right?
You don't like her music.
I mean, if you don't like a black person's music, it's racist. If you don't want to date or have sex with a trans person, you're a transphobe.
Well, that's not really true, because if I said right now, if I tweeted out, Kanye, his music is shit and so is he, like, I wouldn't get shit for that because, you know, he has the wrong kind of thing. So I don't really think it's that.
There are always exceptions to the rules of the left. You know, you got to like all black people's music except for the conservative black people. You have to, you have to sleep with all the trans people except for the trans people, like Blair White or something. Like if you said you wouldn't want to sleep with someone like Blair White, well, that's okay. But then if you wouldn't want to sleep with someone like Riley Dennis, you're a transphobe.
I'm not getting into that one because that was fucking stupid.
This is just the
I
rule.
know. But that one I can't. I'm not going to touch that one. I know better. You're not getting me to touch that one.
Smart woman.
She's
on to us, Amos. She's on to us.
You're not getting me to do that. You can call me any name you want. I'll just report you and block you when I get back on Twitter. That's all.
Who is the most famous person that's blocked you? Do you have like a badge of honor?
I don't know. On my old one, I got blocked by a checkmark account. I guess he was famous, some journalist, but I don't know who the hell he was.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, the blue check marks, they tend to have some weight with that kind of thinking. So that's good. That means you're making an impact, though. That is actually something to applaud yourself for.
I guess. I don't take value in checkmark accounts.
Next time let's just say in the future you get the Twtercide original account back up online, and then you're gonna find.
I doubt it. That one looks like it's gone.
I mean, what's his name? There's a guy we know, Bunty King. He had his original account banned for like 9 months, and he kept appealing it, and the event just one day out of the blue came back.
And he's Indian. He's, he just has the wrong politics.
He got in trouble because on his original account, he was criticizing Tariq Nasheed.
Oh, I'm not going to touch that one either.
Wash your ass.
No, him and Tariq were like this big Twitter feud going on, and he got banned on that. Created a new account that pretty much rose back up to the same follower account as he had before.
Right.
Then that one got banned. So then he just like stuck with YouTube for a while, kind of minded his own thing. Then his Twitter account came back. But now he's like careful because he tweeted something about like a joke about TERFs. You know what TERFs are, right? What's that?
I said, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Right there. Yeah, so he retweeted a joke about TERFs, and he got suspended, and then eventually, like, he waited a few months, and he came back to his original account, and he just kind of stays away from any political stuff. I don't know. I think it's a combination of he doesn't want to get banned and he's tired of
the politics.
Yeah, which is understandable. I think it's weird. Even people who are more centrists, which I have my 2 cents on centrism. I think it's just kind of, they'll say they hate being called fence sitters, but I mean that is kind of what it is. They just I kind of like this, but then there's this over here, and then there's that over, and then they're just like, oh, I just don't want to take a side, and I'm like, yeah, and that's why nothing gets done, I think. But,
well, that's like when you said about him getting suspended for all that. That's what makes people not want to have any kind of dialogue at all on Twitter. Like, I know for a while after I was banned, I'm like, shit, I can't even have a fucking conversation with a black person because I'll be made out to be racist because I'm disagreeing with them. And then finally, after, it died down, I'm like, well, fuck that. I'm still going to say what I want to. And I think it's unfortunate that so many people get like, well, I can't say this, so I'm just not going to because I could get suspended or people could call me this name. And I think it's unfortunate because we're losing a lot of people that have really good logical-based arguments, and we're losing them because they're just sick and tired of hearing the same old thing. Whereas leftists, they're just completely insane and go off the rails. You say one thing, you're a Nazi, and it doesn't even have anything to do with anything. It just comes out of nowhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, yesterday I was listening to, if you guys know, do you know Tim Pool?
Yeah, I follow Tim Pool.
Yeah, so our friends over at Happy Supremacy had him on, and he right away he starts getting into talking about and how now to maintain his videos getting monetized, he has to say different kind of words to talk about the news. So he can't say shooter or shooting. He has to say the perpetrator of the tragedy. Wow. To basically word it where he's still saying what he's saying, but not saying the trigger words of shooting, shooter, guns. So he has to say weapon. It's
controlling speech.
It is. I mean, he hates it, and he talks about how he hates it. But at the same time, he has to make a living too. So it's just kind of in this weird spot. I saw Chris Raygun did a whole video. He basically made the most advertiser-friendly video he could make. It was just... Did you see that one, Brooke?
Yeah, I saw part of it. I have to finish it, though.
It's just like him standing in a white void talking about the most innocuous nonsense and just saying, see, that's really advertiser-friendly, right? Right, YouTube? Right?
I see that.
I mean, Twtercide, did you have any YouTube account? Did you experience the censorship anywhere else?
No, I've been thinking about it, though. But I just don't see me as a YouTube person. There'd be nothing I would say that I could never make money off of YouTube. The shit I would say.
Oh, believe me, never say never. We've seen what makes money on YouTube, and there's no limits.
I mean, you have the people that are putting out genuine content that make less money than the people who put out
trash.
I mean, there's whole videos I've seen talking about the advertiser-friendly videos that somehow make it into kid YouTube. There was some weird video about these animated kids singing about fingers.
What?
It was
No! Don't go on. What is that?
It was just technically nothing wrong was happening. It's just it's so creepy and so weird and so twisted sounding that it's because the way they word it, the way it's animated, and the stuff they're talking about, it completely works around all the algorithms, but it makes zero sense. And then because it does that, kids YouTube's basically the algorithms that control that don't filter it. So you got these kids watching these really, really fucked up videos that just, it's like, what was that video? The Rusty Spoon video or something.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
Yeah. Salad fingers.
Oh, right. I know what you're talking about. We'll put a link. We'll put a link at the bottom for anybody who wants to see it.
You guys watch weird shit on YouTube. I have no idea what you're talking about.
That are just so weird and so creepy, but somehow it doesn't trigger any of the algorithms because they're not swearing, they're not saying trigger words, and it just makes it onto kids. Kids that are playing around with their YouTube. I mean, I've seen kids just playing around, like they'll have like a kids YouTube app, and they're on the iPad watching Peppa Pig in Russian. And
get them while they're young.
and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I don't know what's going on? I mean, it's just everything is on kids' YouTube that doesn't make the algorithms don't pick up on. The most advanced algorithms in the world can't catch this stuff.
Crazy. I would definitely say look into it though. The YouTube thing. I mean, it takes a while to make money off of it, of course, but
we're not even making money.
Yeah, we're not making any money right now. I'm close, but I'm not there yet.
That's right. You are.
Yeah, I'm about like 130 or 140 away from like qualifying. So, but I'm not really pushing it. But it's good. I used to make like $200-300 US every couple months off of it. I mean, it's not a hell of a lot of money, but it was part of my rent and other things. And it's literally going to be there at least for a long time. YouTube is probably going to outlive us. And a lot of stuff that I do is actually legacy for when I might have a family and kids and stuff like that. It's a lot of teaching and philosophy and stuff. So, yeah, I think it's worthwhile. And there's always an audience. Never be worried about that. People will
I'm not worried about that. I have so many people that have followed me over to like all of my accounts.
I mean,
I'm not worried about that.
Just saying.
What?
Being an attractive woman on YouTube has its advantages. Just saying.
See, that's why I don't want to show my face and I don't want to do that whole video thing because, like, I would rather people pay attention. I am scared that people will like not listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't want that creepiness that comes with like, as a female putting your stuff out there and then you get that one creepo that like goes on your video and they like pause your shit and like, take a break for 5 to 10 minutes and then go back.
Right.
If you get what I'm saying? That creeps me out.
They give it all. Okay.
I mean, that's already happening though.
Shut up. My God. Let me have some kind of like, whatever. Yes.
They'll get scared by the world,
Destroy me in one episode of like your show.
I mean,
be different for a little bit.
The way around it, of course, is to use an avatar similar to what you have now. So, like one of the guys that I listen to is the Asian Capitalist, and they do it in cartoon form. So they have like somebody sketch them, and it's basically conversations like this, and they put the audio behind it, and. A lot of the people who are like doing the anti-SJW stuff have avatars, so like
Sargon of Akkad did that for the longest time.
Yeah, exactly. Sargon of Akkad, Iconoclast, what was it, Mr. Medica. A lot of these people, only now it's kind of a little more safe to show your face. But yeah, it's a way around it if that's your concern. There's never an issue. There's always a way around it.
Or just periodically just kind of like blast like an Adolf Hitler and like a thong or something just pop up on the screen just as like a don't you dare. Some other random thing that just pops up on the screen.
Hey, that could be your thing.
A warning shot. Put it away.
That'll be your little gimmick in your videos to really get people like to laugh, because then the people who are genuinely interested in the content will laugh their ass off, while the creeps are gonna rip certain appendages off.
Right? Like, oh, this bitch, what the fuck?
That's crazy. So how long have you been on Twitter then? How long has this experience been going on?
Oh, through all those accounts, probably only like 3 or 4 years for all those.
That's no.
Yeah, people hate me. Especially feminists. I don't know why.
Really?
Like,
have you had like any big feminists, like popular feminists coming after you?
Nah, not yet.
Not yet. And
that's
why?
my goal. It's my goal in life.
You want to get Big Red and Anita Sarkeesian, sending you hate mail?
I would really like, what's her name? I can't remember her name. It's the one that was championing the whole Kavanaugh thing, anti-Kavanaugh. Who's leading that? Alyssa Milano. I would really like to trigger her a few times.
That'd someone, be fun. Amy Schumer or something.
Oh, that'd be too easy. That'd be too easy. And Kathy Griffin, because I think she's really close to just destroying her entire Twitter. She has those periodic meltdowns where it's just like her whole timeline is filled with nothing but Trump. It's like a cry for help.
Yes, Trump derangement syndrome.
Yes.
I mean, you had the whole, what was it? You had the Trump head, the bloody Trump head, and she was like, I feel so bad. And then she like turns back around. It's just a joke, and then
Trump is harassing me. She was just in a picture depicting herself holding the president's decapitated head. But, he's harassing me because vagina is basically what it came down to.
Fantastic.
It is.
And then what was the one really dumb thing, the video of her dancing topless in front of an open window?
I don't want to see that.
The video was shot from behind her, so you didn't see her.
I don't care. I don't want to see any of that.
I forgot. It was some decision that was like in favor of women, quote unquote, and she was doing a happy dance topless in front of a window in her hotel, and everyone like would repost it like, I don't want to be anyone that is in view of what is going on there.
See, that's my problem with modern feminism. It's like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Like, it doesn't. I just explain that to me because I don't understand. I'm a woman. I don't understand that. What is that doing?
So have you always been? So you never fell into like the modern day feminism thing.
When I was younger, I probably was to a certain extent, but never what I see now. And I still support women, but like the reason that I don't go with modern feminism is because I actually love women, and modern feminism hurts women.
At what point did you have that epiphany, that change?
Probably after I had my first kid.
That would do it. Do it. Yeah.
And then as you get older, you start to really look at teenage behavior, right? Like when you're a teen, you think that's normal and you're actually really smart. And then as you become an adult, you look at teenagers, you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What the hell are you talking? That makes no sense. And I think that's what happens as you grow, especially as you have kids of your own. Then you hear your kid talk and you're like, oh my God, I used to talk like that. Like what the?
That's crazy. And I mean, now, have you seen the documentary "The Red Pill" by Cassie J?
No, I haven't seen that.
It's pretty good. I would recommend it. And you talk about your daughter, possibly. Maybe it's something you could watch with them as well. But it highlights the disparities between the claim of equality, which really amounts to special treatment and special privileges for women. And at the expense of men. So it's no longer equality. Men and women, don't have equal opportunity. But, men are kind of being exploited in society. So I highly recommend it.
Okay, I'll check it out. We got into the red pill, me and Amos, a little bit. We went back and forth, like we said, 2 hours or something.
Well, I think there's a distinction between the movie, the documentary, The Red Pill, because Cassie J, so she was like a radical feminist, and she wanted to go in kind of she actually had a hard time because she wanted to go in to basically look at, okay, is there really like the true face of feminism? Like, is there really like a bunch of these misogynistic men that hate women and all this stuff? And she started basically uncovering the whole, like, part of being a documentarian was when she would talk to people is she realized this is a difficult movie because she was always taught, like, let people speak. Don't insert your own agendas. And as she did that with the men, she started meeting all these men's rights activists and such, and started hearing about all this, started looking at the statistics, and kind of had her mind, changed at that point to think, she even like sat down with Big Red and had a conversation. And basically, and after she released the movie, I remember you could see, like, when it was released in theaters, like, it was immediately protests from male feminists, radical feminists, just everyone saying it's a misogynistic movie because it sheds light on the fact that men can be just as abused, men go through problems too, the injustices in family courts, how, like, there's all this talk of the wage gap, but men account for 97% of all workplace deaths, Yeah,
reproductive rights and such things.
Yeah, just a lot of these things.
Well, what's always, like, it's just funny to me because a lot of the feminists are saying that men are evil, men are misogynistic, and they do this and that. But what I've seen before, like just watching my grandparents, before what I seen was there was just an understanding that men and women are different, right? So they had different value to bring to their relationship, and they both valued each other and what they specifically brought. But it wasn't being misogynistic. And as time went on, women are like, you know what? I don't really like doing dishes, and I don't really like doing this, but I still want to stay home and do absolutely nothing, but I don't want to like do any of this other stuff because I'm lazy. And then as they started to like, hey, I don't want to do this, and you're being a misogynistic if you make me do this, and there's no gender roles or anything like that. And then what they actually created, they kind of created this environment of men that are pushing back on women. So in my opinion, it kind of made men into what they're stating that they were originally. It's kind of forcing men to like show their hands, so to speak.
Interesting. I mean, it's done a number on women. So as you would compare looking at your grandparents and I assume your parents to some degree.
No, not them.
Okay. I don't know, but all right. But all right, your grandparents, probably my grandparents through that generation kind of had that gender dynamic. So you understood the man's role, you understood the woman's role, and all that kind of thing. And I think you're right. Probably in our parents' generation, it started to fall apart after the 60s and 70s. But now, and you're right in saying this, feminism has destroyed that social contract between men and women at the expense of both of us. So the men are constantly in danger of being accused of all sorts of heinous, accusations and other things. But at the same time, for women, there's now like a race to the bottom for sexual, exploitation and stuff like that. So, once upon a time, I'd take a girl on the date and, it'll be great if you get a kiss at the end of the night. Now it's like, there's so much more going on that first date.
Right.
And how do these women kind of get ahead or try to get it? And there's like a greater pressure on them to be more sexual, more into all these kinds of things. And it's destroying, again, I don't think women are necessarily meant to have that kind of, role and other things. And yeah, it's just destroyed the whole thing. And it's made dating, especially for men and women today, very difficult to find anybody who's compatible, who's, not got like 100 people that they've slept with and all these other kinds of things. To pair bond has become a challenge.
Well, right, and I think like you go into the like whole slut walk thing they do. I don't understand, but you go into, they're like, oh, I'm a proud slut and this and that, and then if someone calls them a slut, don't call me a slut, you misogynistic. Like that doesn't make sense. I thought you were a proud slut. Why are you not? And then it's okay to sleep with all of these men, right? And then they get mad and don't understand why a man isn't taking them seriously, and they're getting all asshole men, and they're only viewed as sex objects. And then we don't want to be sexualized, and we don't want to be looked at as sex objects, right? Oh, that woman does porn for a living. You go, girl. She's liberated. They don't go together. They cannot go together.
Correct.
Right. You're either for women not being sexualized or you're okay with it. And if there's a problem with a man sexualizing a woman, then maybe we should start with our own gender and say, hey, we don't really like being sexualized by men and looked at specifically as sex objects. So maybe you should, I don't know, calm down with the, taking dick in the ass in videos. Like, I don't know. Maybe start there. Am I wrong though?
No, you're not. I think it's the balance is off now. Now it's. I mean, before you kind of had this sort of better calibrated sort of scale, and then women came in and dropped a ton on one side, and now men are coming in as well, dropping another ton. And yeah, you're still trying to balance, but now the scale is breaking.
Right.
Under the pressure. Now there's no way of where both sides are posturing day in, day out, trying to get ahead, and now you have this huge gap. If anything, it's the gender gap. It's not it's this gap between it's a gap between the sexes, that the sort of rift where only the real the women who are wanting to who do pursue some sense of traditional femininity, and the men who are pursuing some sense of that a more traditional masculinity, a positive sense, cross the rift to hopefully meet each other somewhere in the middle before all the men and women on those sides try to kill them.
Oh my God. Well, it really is. It's an all-out gender war at this point. It's just, okay, well, we dropped a bomb over here, so now we need to drop a bigger one. And then, the dynamic is horrible, and they wonder why men say nasty things to women. Now, I'm not condoning it. It's not okay to talk to women that way. But at the same time, if you are one of those women that continuously bashes men and makes statements like men are scum, all men are cheaters, I was raped by this man, and you have a penis, so therefore you have the potential to rape me. And then they wonder why men talk to them that way. I, as a woman, would not want to be talked to like that. I don't want to be viewed because there's some crazy feminist that hates you. I don't want to be viewed like that woman. So as a man, I wouldn't expect you guys would want to be lumped in with a rapist. It's just common sense.
Yeah, the individual is lost in the conversation. It's ironic. Now we're on to the other red pill, which is gender dynamics. But yeah, as you say, it's lost. I actually did a video on this. I have a very good friend of mine. She's an erotic photographer. So she gets girls who do burlesque and stuff. So it's not sexual. It's actually kind of artsy, and very classy, very, very classy stuff. And, she did a whole video, trying to depict, the double standards sexually between men and women. So the cliche, of course, is men could, sleep with as many women as possible, and he's viewed as a stud. And if a woman does it, of course, she's viewed as a slut. And I tried to explain to her there is a reason for that in the gender relationship, right? And I sum it up like this, that, which has more value? A key that could open any lock, or a lock that opens with any key, right? And basically it's a depiction of, the man is the key and the woman is the lock. And if she's going to open her legs for anybody, me as a man is saying, well, there's a very good chance she's going to do that with somebody else and not really stay faithful to me. So her value in my eyes.
Are you really going to make me argue the feminist standpoint here? You're really going to make me do that? But at the same time, it works completely other way. Because as a man, you're attributing it's a key, right? Well, if you stick your key in every freaking lock that you see, there's a good chance your key's going to break the fuck off. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm not saying it's necessarily healthy for men to have that high count. But because of the liberation in sexuality, now men can have that. And women are now competing for those men. And the choice is endless because a lot of women, they're just giving it up, right? But again, and this is where the imbalance is coming from, because what used to be traditional values, whole reasons why we got married and settled down, was for access to sex and stability and all that. That's gone.
I see what you're saying. Now, when basically it comes back to that saying, why buy the cow when you get the milk for free?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly that. So I was having this conversation with Amos at one point that, in terms of for men, there's no compulsion for us to be like, I need to find a girl and settle down and all this other kind of thing. Especially as sometimes the older we get, the more attention we get. Monogamy is now earned. It's not even a given thing. I have to find a woman and she has to earn my monogamy in the relationship sense, just because the sexual marketplace is fully open. And we didn't do that. Men didn't do that. Women did that.
I agree with you. I agree with you there.
And that's where it's changed. Yeah.
But I think at the same time, women do have to do the same thing. Because, like you said, not all of us are crazy, neurotic feminists, right? Who just went completely off the rails. So then it puts women in a position, I mean, not the crazy ones, but puts women in a position where, okay, well, all these women are acting like this. So now I'm going to be almost viewed the same exact way. And I think that's why feminism now is hurting a lot of women, because the women that don't want to behave that way, women that don't want to sleep on the first date, women that don't want to do these things and want to get married and have a, monogamous relationship, they're being viewed under the same lens as everyone else. So then it almost forces them into behaving the same exact way. Yeah,
totally agree. And, especially as people are getting into relationships later and later in life and all these other types of pressures, it's really screwed things up. It's really, and it's, as you quite rightly say, it's hurting women a lot more than it's hurting the men. But I mean, for men who want to settle down, it's a detriment to them as well. But yeah, you're spot on with that point.
Well, then why don't they see it?
It's how do you find those women, right? So like for me as a man, it's like, how do I find the traditional conservative woman who actually wants those values in a sea of Instagram butt models and all this other crap? Right? I mean, because you're literally competing with every woman around the world. Every woman is in competition because of social media and everything else with women all around the world. It's really tough.
Well, that's what they say. And then they go on, well, feminists, we support women. No, you don't. Like the majority of quote unquote feminists that I've seen, they are the nastiest to other women. I don't know what they're even talking about when they say we support women. They are because what you said, they're in competition with one another. I don't compete with other women. I refuse to do so. I bring something entirely different than the woman beside me might bring. And she can still be beautiful, intelligent, and all that. And it doesn't devalue who I am as a woman. Feminists don't see it that way. They don't realize it, but they don't look at other women that way.
Correct. I would agree with that. Is this what you and Amos were talking about before? I don't know. I didn't want to.
No. We got into it a little differently because we actually went back and forth and disagreed a lot. And I took a lot of the feminist standpoints. And I told him, if we did this in the live stream, like maybe feminists will finally start liking me. Like maybe she's not so bad. So I was kind of doing devil's advocate, even though I did agree with a lot of the things that I was saying.
Sure. And that's good. That makes for good conversations. And because this is what's missing, right? You can't have these conversations again, even between men and women sometimes.
Well, to be fair, I think it's harder for men and women to have these conversations because, and I'll just be honest, and I think I told Amos this, maybe I didn't. It's a lot different as a woman to have a man explain feminism to you or explain how men and women should behave. And I think that's why it's so important that we have more female voices speaking out against feminism, because as a woman, I'm going to take another woman's opinion a little bit above yours. Even though you can still have an opinion, I can look at it and decide whether it's logical or not. But we're just because we have different experiences. It's just a fact that we do. And I think feminists are going to be more willing to listen to me as a woman than they are of you, because they can't use the same things and arguments that they would use against you, against me. They can't accuse me of mansplaining.
Right, exactly.
It's a lot harder for them to attack me.
That even exists is a big problem too. Like
it's retarded. It just is.
The marketplace, the gender war is yes, men and women have both contributed to it, but it's a lot is feminism kind of went nuts. Like I said, with the broken scale, the scale is now under stress.
They accelerated it.
It's not that there's there's equality, but it's also the pressures on the scale. It's now, we want that, you have Me Too and Believe All Women over here. So then you get, incels over here.
And MGTOW.
Make the incels up, but Me Too and Believe All Women are dominating the airwaves.
That's the narrative.
Yeah, whereas the incel in the MGTOWs are in their basements. On the 4chans and Gab and whatnot.
Well, we don't know what's on Gab anymore, so.
Oh, that's
Is Gab down?
So,
is it down?
Yeah, we were going to talk about that. Yeah, Gab's Twitter got shut down.
Gab is
It's Twitter, like now?
No, well,
they were tweeting earlier.
Gab had a Twitter account, and I think they were supposed to be removed. And then now the Gab website is going to be taken down.
Oh shit!
The host doesn't. Their host doesn't want to host them anymore. I heard someone making the joke. Well, that's what happens when you host you host people who are hosting clan meetings. And I was like, oh jeez.
What the fuck?
And then
there was a terrorist attack or some gun thing, because I haven't been following American news, so you guys got to fill me in.
I don't know. I should know that.
Yeah, there was something, and the guy was on Gab, basically sprouting whatever hate thing.
Oh, I think, the MAGA bomber or whatever.
The MAGA bomber, what's that?
I'm calling him the MAGA bomber, the guy who sent all the suspicious packages. It was weird. He
had a bunch of bumper stickers. They made that a point to say he had Trump stickers on his van. He made that a point.
Did they do that? Did they actually do that?
There was something. I heard. Some people were really digging in a little bit of conspiracy theory, saying he had the news was really pushing for the fact that his van was covered in Trump stickers, and he was wearing a Trump hat. But if you found his Facebook or his Twitter, he was following a bunch of leftists. Apparently, he was on Gab posting about what he wanted to do all over Gab, and no one did anything.
No. Sorry. I just looked into it. There was a shooting at a synagogue in
Pittsburgh.
That's right.
11.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that person was on Gab saying whatever they were saying. I guess anti-Semitic.
Yeah, sorry. They're so close together. We're getting them all mixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew something actually happened, because the bomb thing is hilarious, and I don't know what's going on with that, but. And the response from the internet has not disappointed, with everybody posting their makeshift bombs.
That's right. Someone had what was it, Pillsbury. They would have a Pillsbury tin wrapped in a bungee cord with a clock on top of it or something. They'll make it look like a bomb. They were saying this is what the suspicious bombs look like. There was no bomb. I just heard it was suspicious packages that could have been something, but nothing detonated. And yeah,
coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah. I think some former bomb expert kind of debunked it and said, this is garbage. But more to the point, if we're talking about terrorism and recruiting of radicalism and stuff like that, had either of you been on Islamic Twitter?
No, God, no. I've seen it.
Yeah, so there's a Twitter that's geared towards the Middle East and these types of things. I don't want to get too specific. And if you want to talk about some rather extreme views and supposedly deplatforming terrorism, yeah, Twitter has a lot to answer for. I'll just say that.
Right. Well, there's a lot of anti-Semitic things that are being said on Twitter. It just depends on who is saying them. If they have right think, then they're allowed to say these things. And another thing I find so funny, they're talking about all these quote-unquote threats and how other people are responsible. But how many accounts do we see that call for Trump's assassination continuously? And yet they're still on there. And they don't take down those tweets. So, they're still on there, but no one wants to talk about that. And if you bring it up, then it's, we're not going to do this whataboutism. To me, it's not whataboutism. It's calling out blatant hypocrisy. I don't understand why we can't do that.
I agree. I mean, isn't that the whole thing? It's one set of rules for our team and, a different set of rules for everybody else.
Well, that's the way that they're functioning, but it's not the way that how I think it should work. And I guess that's why I'm
that's why you're
on
I am. Twitter account number 21,
Yeah, because I'm not allowed to say that. Yeah, I basically said, I don't think Trump should be, threatened with assassination on Twitter. Oh, my God.
How could you say that?
She's a white supremacist and she supports a Nazi. I don't even know how we got to the Nazis. Like, I don't understand. Didn't he give the capital to the Jewish people, like in Israel? Like, I don't understand how. Yeah, I don't understand. How does that work? Like, do they know who Hitler is and what he did?
No, probably not.
Or they're just throwing it around, I guess.
It's what probably they've been taught in university. I haven't done American university, so I can't really say, but I'm sure that's where they learned it. And they don't know. They don't know what they're doing.
Well, that's really fucking sad.
I mean
it's the Che Guevara t-shirt all over again, right? So for those who don't know Che Guevara, he assassinated a number of people personally. But he's held up as some kind of liberation fighter. And they have no idea. They have no idea who he is.
Hey, give me 1 minute. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
All right. We're going to charge you for it, though.
Okay, that's fine. Let me know.
What was the one thing? You were bringing up something before the stream.
Yeah, I was. Well, I mean, if you're talking, you see that Angela Merkel has been ousted. She's basically resigned from the German parliament.
As chancellor.
And this is the funny thing, right? She's not supposed to be any political position within the European Union, but because her party has basically suffered tremendous losses in every election because of her, she's now stepping down, and the euro is crashing. Right. So everybody's trying to say, well, Angela Merkel really isn't that important in the European Union. But the minute she steps down, the currency of the European Union is crashing. So this facade of Germany is not like one of the major beneficiaries of the EU is falling apart quickly.
The ESSR?
The EU SSR. But I thought that was some good news. I thought that was, I was surprised that the Germans actually let her back in barely, and she got into power because of the negotiations and stuff. But
that's I'm here. I heard a little bit about that, and I don't know. Like, it's just, why did she step down? Did she give any reasoning?
Yeah, because her party has suffered tremendous losses, basically because of her unpopularity. And Sorry?
Migrant issue.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, basically, you've imported 1 million migrants, and your young girls and other are being raped in these other kind of North African gangs and other things. Crime has skyrocketed, and you're not doing anything to slow it down. So you're destroying the country and just upsetting the people that are there, the indigenous population and others. And I mean, even people who've migrated. Like, I have friends and family who've migrated from the Caribbean and elsewhere and gone to Germany. They wanted to be around Germans. Right, and now they're just certain parts of the country they can't go because the German culture has disappeared. So when you do that to your country, what do you expect? People are they're not going to vote for you.
I mean, what's his name? Tucker Carlson and Cenk Uygur had a debate. I don't know if you heard about that.
At Politicon.
And in the most objective way possible, pretty much Tucker would lay it out that radical change, huge immigration, just it's going to cause problems.
I saw that. It was very good.
Yeah, it's just change in such a large degree in such a short amount of time is going to temporarily destabilize an area. That's just what's going to happen.
Totally agree. I mean, if diversity was really such a strength, Brazil should be a utopia because everybody's mixed out there. Everybody's got everything mixed up and stuff. Some beautiful people, don't get me wrong. And we have friends in Brazil, but it's not exactly known for like economic success and all these other things. It's one of the most crime-ridden countries in the world. What's that?
Political transparency.
Yeah.
I've heard it. I mean, I hear about corruption and I'm like, I think they take the cake for South America.
Well, I think Venezuela still has it, but not by much. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I had a question before you go on with the immigration thing that he talked about. Not only if you get into the economics of it, but aren't we told that like America was founded basically on racism and Trump is Hitler and we're just in such turmoil? But yet all these people are coming here. Like, why are they coming to a land run by Hitler? I can't make them fit together. They don't work.
Oh, it totally works because you're leftist.
If you're insane.
Maybe. You never know.
It's possible.
I mean, it's a way to appease their white guilt, right? So it's reverse colonialization, right? So once upon a time, we'd go out and we'll conquer and we'll colonize, the savages and stuff like that. That's gone out of style. So what they do instead, and this is the UK issue, is because we feel so bad about that, we're going to let the barbarians in, right? I'm not calling all immigrants barbarians, but I'm just being pedantic.
We're not racist, guys.
Yeah, but that's the thinking.
Say you're not. That obviously means you are. My God.
But that's the thinking. It's like the social justice people, the whole open immigration philosophy is a way to basically try to help the savages in their view by bringing them into the home country and figuring they'll have a better life. So it's reverse colonization. That's the thinking.
Which is a kind of racism in itself.
It is racism.
It's like basically what you're saying then is come over and the white people will help you. Is that what I'm hearing? Because that sounds really like a racist thing for white people to do. It's like,
that is exactly
come over to white land and we will help you. Like, that's horrible.
What was that movie the documentary, Brook, Charity Inc.?
Oh, probably. Yeah, I think it was something like that. Yeah.
It's basically talking about how the humanitarian aid issue with Africa, how
it's making it worse.
We dump so much humanitarian aid on Africa that it's actually causing them to be enabled to not function on their own.
Correct.
Only a handful of countries in Africa are seeing huge, economic growth, but at the same time, a lot of them are so used to us sending them stuff that the moment there's any sort of decline or we cut back a little, that they're hurting. It's like, no. Like, and then what was it? They were interviewing like local. I didn't watch the movie, but from what I gathered from the trailer was like Africans that were saying, we don't want aid. We want to be
correct.
We want to be independent. We want to be part of the market.
Correct.
Make money,
Yeah.
Did you go ahead?
No, after you. Go ahead.
All right. Well, you had mentioned Tucker Carlson. I know he did one where they were talking about all the immigrants that wanted to come in because they wanted a better life. And I forget the guy's last name, Jorge something or other. He's a reporter in Mexico. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Not sure.
Tucker was straight to the point. He's like, how many of these immigrants are you going to take into your home? And he just refused to answer the question. He's like, well, this is not a single person thing. This is a country thing, and we need to help. And Tucker just kept reiterating, like, how many are you taking into your homes? And the guy kept making it a point to say, these families don't have a dollar to their name. And I'm like, where are they going to go? Why is no one realizing this? I understand that it's very sad. These people need help, but economically that doesn't work out. Where are they going?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a question to ask.
Exactly.
Tucker just recently, actually just today, yesterday, did a Prager University video talking about immigration and how they studied where back when it was still pretty big with the Cuban, well, not Cubans, but like the migration the immigration that takes place in coming into Florida. And how the local workers in the area saw a 30% drop in their wages as a result. And so he was basically making the case that, like, this open border policy is going to affect, is going to just saturate the workforce, and wages will go down because you got people that are willing to work for less.
Correct.
It's not. I mean, and people want to keep comparing back to sort of back in the Ellis Island days when we were just bringing in people by the boatloads. When in reality, back in those times, we actually had a workforce shortage.
Yeah,
we needed the workers. We had an industrial revolution that was on the verge of happening. We needed people to help, get over that hump and start making money. Now we're entering towards the more automation, period. We don't need that many people anymore. I'm not advocating for population control, but we just need that
Make that clear.
In this country. Yeah. We don't need that many people. I mean, you're having people doing, who are generating tenfold in productivity for a quarter or even 10%, less than 10% of the workforce. I mean, Google has shrunk in jobs. I think they don't actually need as many people to work at Google. Now that's Google, but I mean, it's going to trickle down in economics to triggering more people. Where you're just going to have a lot of these labor jobs are just, you're not going to need people as many people. So,
well, even at gas stations, did you see these machines when they go to give you change, you actually use cash, it spits out the coins. They can't count them. So eventually it's just going to be a machine that just gives you your whole money back, kind of like Walmart with their self-checkout.
McDonald's and Taco Bell now have all self-checkout.
Yeah, you have to go, and I know I got in trouble for not using it. And I'm like, well, I come here so you guys do this for me. I'll just go home. What am I here for? I do it myself.
All the fast food, you can do mobile ordering, or you can hire someone to go buy, pick it up for you, or you just order at the automatic cashier at the place. So that limit, that cuts back. They don't need cashiers. They just need one during a busy.
I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but this is why I don't know the actual statistics on it. This is why so many Americans are fat. I'm going to order a bunch of McDonald's and then sit in my car and, I'm just going to drive there and you get it. I never leave my car. I just eat it in there. The trash is piled everywhere in your car. And you just keep getting more. But then, see, you supersize everything and then you get a Diet Coke because a Diet Coke makes it better.
Because you're health conscious.
The obesity issue is definitely still relevant. You're not. I don't think you're going to. You'll get flack because it's fat shaming, not because it's technically.
That's not a thing. It's not a thing.
I would agree. It's not a thing. We shouldn't be encouraging people to be overweight and other things. Is there anybody we haven't gone after in this stream? Just checking.
Oh. Well, see, shame, if you look up the very definition of shame,
yes,
you need to feel like you're doing something wrong to be able to be shamed. If you are fat shamed, you think it's wrong to be fat, so stop it.
Brilliant.
It's the same as slut shaming. There is no slut shaming either. If you feel bad about being a slut, stop doing it.
Brilliant.
It's not my fault you don't like what I say. It's your fault you don't agree with your own lifestyle and you just won't stop and you want everyone to say that it's okay. I'm not going to do that.
It's some sort of validation they're trying to get, really.
Yeah.
The whole push for feminism is really to let's be like men.
I don't know. I think it's more you need to find me hot because I said so. And if you don't, that you're an asshole.
Yeah, even if they're 600 pounds, porcupine face and tattoos all over, men have to find her sexy,
You have to.
Yeah, it's, never mind what the man actually wants, but,
We don't care about that. What is wrong with you? It doesn't matter. You have no say. It's 2018 now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Get with the time.
The current year.
You know what it'll be next year? It'll be 2019.
Oh, it's crazy.
What's that going to bring?
That's going to bring... It's 2019, so you got to this and this and this.
Oh, God.
More social garbage. But
questions for me.
Twtercide, do you work at all?
I do. I coach gymnastics.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Well, that's a job that probably will not be automated.
No, and it's probably I'm not big either because it's a physical job.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're working with kids, I assume, right? Teens and stuff, or younger than that?
Younger. I don't really like once they start getting older, it kind of seems like they get that attitude. I don't really do too well with that. And plus the little kids are a lot more fun.
There you go. Yeah. Well, you're not in danger of any kind of automation or anything like that.
No,
but
I don't know. Maybe far future, but I'll be dead by then.
Yeah, Boston Dynamics is probably working on it, but I think it's at least 10 years out.
I would hope so.
Yeah, the ones I worry about is the trucking drivers. I don't know if you know.
My stepdad used to be a truck driver.
Right. I was about to ask if, because I've seen the automation for truck drivers. And I think it is one of the biggest employers in the U.S. is transportation. I might be wrong. And because of the massive exodus coming out of California, apparently there's a truck driver shortage, right? Only in one direction, though, from California to Texas. But I mean, if you want to go the other way, there's no traffic. But that one worries me. Because there, as you say, there's a lot of drivers in the U.S. are doing the trucking and stuff like that. So if that's automated, we're going to have a huge unemployment. Well, you guys are going to have a huge unemployment problem.
Yeah, it's our problem now.
Yeah.
Like you care about it, Brooke.
Yeah, I got my own set of problems out here, man. Like I can't make jokes without being arrested. So. Perspective. Yeah, you guys got a First Amendment. We're just trying to, get around the hate speech laws.
What is it? 6 people, you said? 6 people get arrested every day for hate speech?
I think it's 9 people a day are arrested for online content for hate speech, offensive speech, whatever it is.
Yeah, but who I know there's guidelines, but can you say the guidelines without getting into some kind of trouble? No,
it's not even guidelines. It's things that are acceptable on Twitter. The local police find offensive. For instance, there's a girl out here. I can't remember her name. It's Linda something. One of her friends committed suicide, and he was really into rap music and kind of gangster rap music and stuff like that. And as a tribute to him, she put up the lyrics to his favorite song that was like littered with colorful metaphors.
Right.
And it's the lyrics to a song. Right. It's not like she's saying these things, but, it was his favorite song or whatever. She got arrested for that, for gross communication, like grossly offensive communication over the internet. And there's a libertarian group and the liberalist group out here. As a kind of protest to that, they actually went out to the one area where free speech is allowed in this country, which is a place called Speaker's Corner at Hyde Park. And they read the lyrics out, and that's a protest out here.
Wow.
Saying song lyrics is a protest out here. That's how crazy it is in the UK.
So there's a police that monitors your online presence?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
It's like on their Twitter feed and stuff like that. Like, don't think what's a crime in real life is a crime online. Don't think that you're going to get away with it just because you're anonymous. We're watching you. And that's from like the Wiltshire police and the North Yorkshire and these other things. Scotland, as the famous Count Dankula case, him, the Nazi pug. Yeah, this is a real thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How many free speech zones are there? Is there just like one, or are they multiple depending where you're at?
There's, I think, Hyde Park is probably the only one. Speaker's Corner is probably the only one I know of. There might be another one, but there's actually an act in Parliament basically saying that anybody could say anything at Speaker's Corner. The only thing that's not allowed there is religious practice, which, certain sects of populations in the country ignore, and they go and break the law anyway. But it's supposed to be debate. It's supposed to be arguments, and people could say what they want and this kind of thing. But that's it. Everywhere else is not allowed.
But don't they realize that makes people want to say the things they're not supposed to even more?
No, they don't realize that. But you're right.
It's kind of breeding hate. Because they're not allowed to voice it any other way.
Correct. I mean, this is the conversation Amos and I have concerning free speech, is that when you start to limit and censor speech, only the extremists are left. Only the people who are like, gonna, screw the rules, screw this, I'm gonna say what I want and stuff like that, which tend to be, sometimes despicable characters. Those are the only people speaking for some of the things that the average people are concerned about. And that's how they get attention and they grow and these other things.
You further radicalize the
general population.
Right. I talk about the Twtercide. Have you ever seen the Sam Harris on Bill Maher with Ben Affleck when he talked about Muslims?
I have, but I don't remember the exact dialogue. I'd have to watch it again.
So So Sam Harris uses this visual analogy of like the circles. So like you have the very inner circles, like your radical, terrorists of Muslims, and then you go out and you have your Islamists, like people who sympathize but they won't commit anything, and then you have like the rest of the Muslims kind of thing, like three circles. And I talked about kind of like with white supremacy, alt-right ideology, and pretty much that. And so you have, it's tough to say, but you have like your what's his name, Jared Taylor. You have your Jared Taylor, you have your Richard Spencer, you have your radical, like, guys who want an ethno-state, some on the verge of believing...
Yeah, like, KKK people.
Yeah, pretty much like the worst. And when you start to silence... And then you have out here, you have your white nationalists, guys that have these ideas. But, they don't want to talk to people who are not with them, but they won't, like, commit any violence. And then you have people who maybe are, like, sort of hardcore patriots.
Nationalists,
yeah. Patriots, nationalists. They've thought about these things, but they don't really care too much. And what happens is when you silence pretty much those two other circles, that one circle in the middle remains, because those are going to be the radicals that just don't give a fuck. And you're going to start drawing in those two other circles to make that one bigger.
Right. Kind of like what happened with Alex Jones. Like, as soon as Alex Jones got banned, it almost made everybody... Well, it made everybody like, well, why did he get banned? And it almost made him a martyr. And then you don't take a delusional person that's like, everyone's out to get me. Oh, my God, they're trying to silence me, you guys. And then actually fucking silence him, because then people are like, oh, my God, Alex Jones is right. And then go and listen to all his other craziness. And they're like, oh, shit, he must be right here, too.
Gay frog.
Exactly. Yes. Were you a fan of Alex Jones? Was that a thing, or did you just fall in after all the controversy?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh no, I like the fact. I think he should be able to say what he wants to, as crazy as it is. I don't care for Alex Jones. He's intense and he's a little nutty.
Fair statement.
Man,
I like Amos.
I hate everything. Remember?
No, it's. Yeah, that's the thing is, we are smart enough to see that, not everything he says is true, but yeah, it's you're going to draw in the pretty much the 80% of the population. Yeah, the 80% of the population that's susceptible to having them, being persuaded of just certain things, just being more prone to, persuasion, paranoia, suggestion, really, yeah.
It's on both sides, though, right? Because, that's basically what the SJWs have, right? They suck on the tit of CNN and MSNBC, and out here we have The Guardian and these other left-wing publications. Sorry, the NPC?
BBC.
Right, the BBC. And they just parrot the same stuff. You do have that on the other side as well. So there are people who are just going to parrot Alex Jones and stuff like that. As I think it was Thomas Edison, or maybe it was Henry Ford, that said, thinking is the most difficult job in the world. A lot of people think they think. Some people actually think, but the majority of people would rather not, would rather do anything but think. And that's the masses. Those are the normies.
There was some sort of psychological study where they were looking into what's known as your inner dialogue or your monologue, like basically thinking.
Right.
Like actually taking the time and acknowledging the fact that you have a voice, if you want to say, your conscience, whatever you want to call it, thinking things through. Only about 20% of the population does that.
Ew.
That's scary.
That's horrifying.
But that's why people like us are so important, right? So Twtercide, you have to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Like, it was just weird. I was like, wait, what? Like, I think it's normal to just think. But then when you start talking to people who don't, you start to realize, oh, this isn't happening. Brooke and I have had plenty of conversations before we got into politics with even just in the religious, context. Lots of people that would just, it was just rhetoric, just spewing out whatever certain pastor, certain book, certain whatever told them. And we would walk them through the logic. Well, we believe this. Like, we took a more like gracious, sort of, if you want to say, a more libertarian stance on certain religious doctrines, and we kind of broke it down like, well, if this is this and then that is that, how can you believe this? And but you know, and then it just comes back around, and we would basically, you know, it's like you could literally you could feel a wall.
Yeah.
Like as you're talking, you're like, there's a wall somewhere in this conversation that I've already passed and you're stuck at.
Well, I mean, I consider myself personally to be a Christian, and I think the worst possible thing you can do is believe something without actually deciphering it and breaking everything down until there's nothing left.
Deconstruction. Right. Agree. Which is basically where Amos and I are at.
Yeah. We actually talked about sort of what we would call like Christians, like we said, like, you know, deconstruction kind of Christians that have broken down everything they believe, and they're kind of in that process of like constantly questioning. You know, some of them have passed that. Some of them kind of go into the angry, I hate anything related to religion. Some of them kind of just go probably more along the lines of religion is okay, I'm just going to live my life kind of thing. There's different paths people take, but yeah, we saw a lot of just walls.
And you see it in the politics as well, which is what we're dealing with now.
Yeah, the NPC wall.
You had to.
It's the NPC wall. It's just, that's what it is.
I'm going to say this. I have to say it since you brought it up. It's funny because that's dehumanizing, right? How many arguments have you seen me get into with people regarding abortion? They're not babies. They're fetuses. Therefore, it is okay to kill them.
Yeah, I've had a lot of those conversations too. What about body autonomy? What about it really come, you know, well,
children from incest and rape and
viability.
Mm-hmm.
Can it survive outside the womb? Therefore, it's not a human. It's like, well, but it has the potential. Well, what about miscarriages? What about? And then I've had this person I've talked to that tries to lay out a lot of some of these like logical stories. Like you hear about the one, you know, there's a school that's on fire, or there's a building on fire. And on one hand, you save a child, the other hand, you save 1,000 fetuses or whatever, you know. Well, of course you're going to save the child. Oh, therefore, you know, those fetuses aren't human then. It's like, well, no, because this is a stupid exercise.
It is stupid.
You know.
Who's going to be in that situation? And another thing, they argue, they also argue, and I think it goes into the story you just said, like if the mother's life is in jeopardy, then she's supposed to just die, right? Well, why can't she save herself? See, you're not pro-life. But the thing they don't understand is there is a difference between that mother protecting her own life and that baby dying as a byproduct of her protecting her life. It's still pro-life. And it's the same thing with that story you just said. If you save the child, obviously common sense tells you they're both lives, but you have to take the child. It's just morally right. They're still both lives. And you're never going to be in that situation.
Yeah, someone started telling me, like, if there was a drug that was invented that lessened the chance of miscarriage by, like, 20%, but it made the pregnancy more of a living hell, would you subject women to taking that drug? And I'm like, this is just stupid. Like,
what? Who's going to do... Where are they pulling these arguments from?
Their ass?
Well, what kind of sane person comes up with something like that just to win an argument? It doesn't make any sense. And you know what? You know what? Yes, I would. There you go. There's your answer. Yes.
But would you make it a law that women have to take this drug?
Yes.
And then so
what are they going to say now?
Yeah. What now? They're going to call me a name regardless. So it's not going to matter. Just yes. Yes, I
would. We're coming up on our time, actually. So I know we're having... I'm not trying to cut it off just because we're talking about abortion, but it is an interesting timing.
Oh, dang. I didn't even get to chime in on that because I have a very interesting experience about that.
Do it quick.
Yeah, so I like, just to kind of chime in on it, because I come from a country where abortion is illegal. But we do like 7,000 abortions a year in the country illegally. And we have an entire hospital wing dedicated to the unspeakable, which is women with these botched abortions. And many of them die, right? So, I am pro-life in my personal life, but I do understand if you don't give some women access, just banning it outright is not going to necessarily save people's lives. I think the only way that we change that is through education. You have to... Prevention, correct. But people are always going to find a way to do the things that they want to do. And as I say, we not only do they lose the child, we lose the mother's lives as well and stuff like that. So on a policy thing, I can't say that I'm on policy. I have to be pro-choice because I'm pro-life in that sense, that if it's going to cost two people, at least we could, if they're going to do it, at least do it to where somebody survives. And it's like a worst case scenario. And it's a very different perspective. But yeah, I agree with everything you guys are saying, What's that?
We've talked about this. I tend to agree with that. I mean,
it's tough. It's a tough one. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I think it comes back around to sort of just the libertarian principles that you never want to force anything one way or another on people through laws. But with the world we're in, we need to consider that the world we're in, we need to be practical. We need to do the best with what we have.
Yeah. And I fully believe, it's a child, it's a human being. And yes, I can think it's murder. I don't know. Do two wrongs make it better? Or I can't figure it out.
But see, when you said you don't want it to be outlawed, right? Because you wouldn't want a woman to lose her life.
Yeah.
By trying to have the abortion, right? That was your argument.
Yeah, a backstreet abortion, correct.
Okay, well, what would you say about, she's making that choice, though? So you're taking away her choice to have a botched abortion that she's choosing to have. If she can't have one, we wouldn't make murder legal so that we could cut down on the amount of people murdered. Hey, you get to kill one person. We wouldn't make that legal. Right.
But this again is the problem, right? So even if you say, okay, it's outlawed, and women are up with whatever they're doing. There's these terrible pills or the clothes hanger or whatever, and they're getting all kind of complications. Wouldn't it just be more humane to let them do that rather than die from a botched abortion? I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Honestly, I don't want to make it illegal either. I was just curious about what you would say. I would rather prevent it.
I agree. And just quickly on that, the only way... Oh, go ahead, Amos.
I was just going to say, but what you're saying is the best way to prevent it without, so you're trying to save life by making it legal so that hospitals can do it safely and so women don't die in back alleys with botched abortion, which is a tough position because at the same time you still see it as a life.
Yeah, so see it as a child and
Yeah, and so the only way we can really lower, to pursue the stupid thing of the Democratic position, save something in rare?
What?
Oh, whatever the Planned Parenthood thing is.
Yeah, they say something like save something else in rare.
Right.
Safe and rare, and then it's well, what do you mean rare? The right wing position tends to not take into consideration that if you ban it, people can die. If you don't ban it, people will still die. But you could save a little bit more people because with the botched abortion aspect, and you can still pursue your interests of educating people that essentially changing the moral compass of society to see it as more of a wrong.
Correct.
Put moral weight on it when people make.
We're a little too far gone for that, I think, but I'm a pessimist.
No, you're this. I think there was a bill in Texas where they wanted to have an ultrasound before a woman had an abortion, so she could hear the heartbeat, and that, of course, that's outlawed. All the pro-choice people is no, you can't do that because you have to dehumanize them. But my last point on this, because I know we're running out of time, the smoking in the United States started to drop not after they taxed it up the wazoo and did all these other kinds of things. But it came from educating the public on the dangers of smoking.
People still smoke.
People still smoke. You have the choice to smoke. But in terms historically, there are less people smoking in the U.S. now than ever before. I mean, now you got e-cigarettes and stuff, so it's a little skewed. But educating people is the way to try and change society, not by banning things.
Right.
With that said,
any other points you wanted to add there, Twtercide?
Nope.
Okay. Well, thank everyone for joining us today on the Shitlord-preachers podcast. This again was episode 29. We'll be back next week with episode 30 with another guest, which will be announced on Twitter.
Twtercide, how can people reach you if they want to follow you?
Okay. At like today, I don't know about tomorrow. It is at Twtercide, TWTERCIDE, reboot, REBOOT.
Fantastic.
Yep. At Twtercide Reboot. Check her out on Twitter. You're pretty much, that's all you're at, where you're at.
And if you want to talk to me, that's fine. Don't report me just because I make you sad. That's all I ask.
Wise words. Wise words.
You can definitely check us out on iTunes and other podcasting platforms, as well as here on YouTube. But definitely subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel here, Brook's channel. Check out Twtercide's Twitter. Check out Brook and myself's Twitter. I'm at Amos Joe. Brook is at Brook_Potter. As well as all the other social media that are listed in the description below. But thanks everyone for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Thanks. Bye.